What is this title that Doc is putting up here? What is this, Doc? You say Sony fanboys fake outrage? I saw the video and I was like, uh-oh. I'm gonna click this. I'm gonna click this. All right.
What's up, everybody? Dog 1985. There's levels to this. So, the PlayStation fan base apparently now all of a sudden, now they're upset with PlayStation, or not.
Uh-oh. This video didn't even get into its to its 20-second mark. There's not even an introduction. It's just more like, okay, let's see. This is setting the tone for something interesting. I want to hear this.
They're not too happy with the direction that Sony is going. And this to me has left me confused, has left me flabbergasted. I don't understand what has changed from last week to this week. So some
Okay. I think Doc made a point a while ago where he called out PlayStation fanboys and said it was under your watch that PlayStation became this. Yeah, do y'all remember that video? It's been a while ago. He was talking about how these so-called fanboys, right, pretty much allowed for PlayStation to go that direction. I think this was around the 10 cancellation live service thing that happened, right? At that time, do you know what the PlayStation fanboys said? Do you know what they said? They said, good. We don't want that live service thing anyways. Not realizing that there was these were root causes being manifested in one way. And it was bound to cascade as things went on. They were just basically rolling out this thing little by little.
somebody new or somebody just recently left, the person of Haven Studios decides to leave, and now all of a sudden there's all this outrage and like what are you guys doing? What are you guys upset about? Let me tell you the facts about the Sony PlayStation this generation, okay? Since the beginning of the generation, I have been telling you that the success of the PS5 has been based on the PS4. There's
Very true. Very true. I bought a PS5 because I was like, I have a PS4. That was it. That was it.
no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Even the beginning of the generation, the majority of the games that came out for the PlayStation 5 that were great games were actually PS4 games. These are all facts, okay?
And honestly, I differ in the sense that I don't think there's anything wrong with that, which is crazy, right? Because I've always said that this so-called generation thing is a scam. You make video game, you put video game on hardware. It's that simple. Do you know how let me go ahead and prove it to you before you come at me in the comment section. Everybody is backporting their games to Nintendo Switch that is inferior, weak generation hardware. It's newer than the PS4, but it performs almost just like the PS4. You remember, I mean, some people don't really look at hardware from that perspective of raw juice, raw power, because you can have a PC that runs on like DDR4, right? In terms of its architecture and whatever, that can outclass a PC that runs on DDR5 architecture, depending on how you build it, right? Because there are other factors that are involved. What graphics card are both of them using? Right? A 6800 XT, old generation stuff, but beats a 7800 XT. It's the way that they designed it. It's newer, but it doesn't perform as well as the old one. So this talk about, oh, it's newer, that means it has to be much better. It requires a lot of understanding. So when people are saying cross-gen and stuff, it makes me laugh. I've been saying this all this while, but it's okay. I'll come after that, notion in a minute.
A whole bunch of remakes, whole bunch of remasters. You got to give props to Ratchet and Clank, right? That wasn't a remake or a remaster. You got to give up.
Bought that. Happy to have given money to Insomniac for that game. I didn't beat it, but my son beat it. Loved it. Daughter, I think she might be playing it now.
Props to Returnal. That wasn't a remake or remaster, right? Astrobot, if you want to give props to Astrobot. But besides that, everything else has been a remake or remaster or a game that has dropped on the PlayStation 4. And the PlayStation 4, listen,
Spider-Man 2.
I've been saying this as well. Sony earned the success that it has with what they did with the PlayStation 4. They've earned that. But the PlayStation 5 itself, as a hardware, it's perfectly fine. But as far as what Sony has been giving you guys this generation, has been trash and illusion.
It's been a filler. I mean, he's He's not wrong. You have to be willing to counter these points to even have anybody look at you with any seriousness. Guys, in this PS5 generation, you have people telling you that the PlayStation Plus subscription has a huge discrepancy in quality with Xbox's Game Pass. All of the subscription tiers and everything that PlayStation did this generation can't even match up to what Xbox is doing. They have an entire refresh in the middle of everything, yet there people are looking and saying, what am I going to do? Play the same games that I've already played before with better colors? I'm telling you, this so-called outrage from the PlayStation fanboys, no one is really buying it. In fact, I don't think anyone buys it. Why? Because y'all were here the whole time when this was cascading, and you should have seen it.
Trash and illusion. They haven't been giving you anything. They've been taking away games from Xbox. That's what they've been doing this year. So much so that they were going to do it again, and Xbox went ahead and bought Bethesda so that they wouldn't do it with Starfield. Sony hasn't been giving you anything for a long time.
This is a valid claim. This is a big problem. I'm going to explain it. Let me lay this thing out. Hold on. I remember when everybody was talking about Final Fantasy 16, Stellar Blade. These were 2023 games, and people were telling, these PlayStation fanboys, these games don't belong to PlayStation. Do you know what they said? I remember hearing this many times from many of them. People don't care. They're just looking for the place to go ahead and play games. That's the justification that they put out there. And I was looking and saying, are you guys not seeing that your PlayStation studios could use this investment? Ladies and gentlemen, let me show you something. Sony has, let me show you this stuff. Phil Rosenberg, PlayStation blog. There we go. Sony has an entire division that is geared towards going to capture and put third-party content into their portfolio. This is the division right here, the GPDR. This is them. In this particular division, hold on, they have people whose job is to go ahead and acquire content. It's called the Content Ventures team. It's led by these folk that are over here. This was actually stated by the SVP of that division in a PlayStation blog interview. They talked about how they've worked with these developers to acquire games like Genshin Impact, Black Myth Wukong, Stellar Blade. Remember, we were making this argument that they money had at these games. PlayStation fanboys said, no, they didn't money hat Wukong. Show us the contract where they money had at Wukong. It's the Series S. Not knowing or paying attention that all the money being spent here is the money that did not go into your factions game. It's the money that didn't go into your infamous, follow-up game. It's the money that didn't go into your Jack Cooper. Is that what they call it? I never played those games. Jack Cooper, there's a PlayStation game. I don't know the name of the franchise. You PlayStation guys tell me. But I've seen it's Podcast Now. Podcast Now loves that franchise, and somebody remind me, and he always talks about it out there. But you don't have a game on that franchise. You don't have a Killzone franchise. You don't have anything coming out in those areas of IP that have legacy within PlayStation because they're busy spending their money trying to acquire these games as exclusive. Are you guys paying attention? This is what Doc is saying. They're blocking games from going to Xbox. And that's been the strategy they've been using. Now that Xbox has got a flood of games, their strategy is now exposed as one of the weakest implementations of a way that a platform holder who makes games and has prided itself on games and has used games to market to people to come into their ecosystem can actually stand. If this is not resonating to y'all on the PlayStation fanboy side, you're going to see a PlayStation that's very different. It's going to be a skeleton of itself. It's now dealing with a money company that has sitting, staying, spending, and absorption power. Xbox is a tank. PlayStation was dealing DPS with console sales. Xbox was just tanking all the damage. You're about to see how that goes.
Now you want to go ahead and
And a big health pool too. I got a healer somewhere. I think the healer is Game Pass. Game Pass is just dropping heals. Look at me. I'm being silly.
Plain. Listen, when Concord got canceled, the excuse was that Sony knew quality and that's why they canceled quality. Well, guess what? This person leaving PlayStation, maybe Sony knows quality and that's why this person is leaving PlayStation. They couldn't produce any quality. What is the outrage right now? This doesn't make any sense to me. Sony has been showing you who they've been this entire generation, and now you guys want to complain when you can argue that now the PlayStation 5 is more valuable than it's ever been because it finally has Xbox games.
Ooh. Shots fired, but not without concrete evidence. I mean, like I said, I got no dog in this console war fight, right? But the man is telling the truth. The man's telling the truth. He is. In fact, I thought it was going to be a PlayStation sandwich, right? When Xbox decided that they were going to move their games to PlayStation. I was one of the big advocates for it. I remember Xbox fans getting mad at me. I remember even having to go ahead and just distance myself from even talking to any Xbox fan who had an issue with it, because I was like, this is the thing that needs Xbox to catapult into the future that they're trying to build, and also is the thing that catapults the gaming industry into the reality that it needs to be. Whether it crashes, whether it implodes, whatever it does, someone needed to disrupt the market and deflate that bubble that's basically been building around the gaming industry. And it needed something like that. Taking AAA games and saying, hi. Hi. Or ho, 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 however you want to put it. And letting gamers know that, hey, man, we can attain quality games, right? We can attain quality games for a small price. Or we can pay for it for a huge price discrepancy. Look at the new games in terms of best selling right now on PlayStation. This is a screenshot worth taking. Let me go ahead and do so. Okay? Because all these people want to talk a big game. These pundits, they like to talk. And as they talk, it's easy to basically have them trap themselves in their world. Now, yeah, I talk a lot too. It's easy to trap me as well. However, I'm pointing out what is here. So my job is easy. Hold on. Don't let this screenshot fade easily. Let's do that. Just something right there. Anybody who sees it knows what they're looking at. Okay, do you see this? Xbox game, Xbox game, Xbox game, Xbox game. This is just in the top 12. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 Xbox games. Or 1, 2, 3, 4 Xbox games. And 1 Game Pass game in there. Actually, no, I take that back. 2 Game Pass games in the top 12. PlayStation is fundamentally, from a content perspective, right now in this 2025 year, they're in a big question mark. Huge question mark.
Oh, yeah. See, this is the reality. You bought a PlayStation 5 saying that you wanted to play PlayStation games.
Agreed. And many of these PlayStation fanboys are moving away from that position. Oh, PlayStation wasn't always about the third-party game. Mr. Jiggery Pokery, I saw your comment on my channel today, and I was laughing going, I remember when many of you were talking about these so-called first-party quality games. Now, on Mooch's podcast, somebody asked him a question and said, now that Xbox's quality of games are increasing, which I laughed because I was like, quality of games is subjective. However, the way y'all are buying it on PlayStation proves a few things. That these games have always been quality games and y'all just thumb your nose at it because you didn't have access. But now that you have access, you're getting a taste of what Xbox players have had for the longest time. Games that you mocked are outselling games that you should be looking forward to, which is actually a big damning reality against those people who are basically making this claim and trying to move away from it.
When in reality, practice, your actions prove that you don't buy a PlayStation to play PlayStation games. I've been saying this again since the beginning of the generation. You buy a PlayStation because it's the more popular console, but what you actually play on PlayStation is third-party games. PlayStation has been doing this. They've been dominating the gaming industry because of third-party games. Why do you think they go ahead and money hack games, dummy? Why do you think they go ahead and pay publishers to keep games exclusive that aren't theirs? Because that's how they've been dominating, is by keeping games away from Xbox. So you bought a PlayStation not for their exclusives. It's because they keep games away from Xbox, but for their first-party games, they didn't. This generation, they didn't have that many, man. Like what are you talking about? You know that Sony's.
This is what makes me laugh when PlayStation gamers try to tell me, oh, but Nintendo does exclusivity. I'm like, you're not Nintendo. You have to understand that PlayStation's exclusives, they're there to just basically go ahead and attract people who are much more like, drawn to this. Oh, look at that texture. Look at that shader. Look at that over the third person camera, whatever. And yeah, some of us like games like that. I like games like that, right? However, they're a third party box, which is okay, I guess, if that's the metric y'all are going for, right? But when Xbox decides, okay, they're a third party box, right? Let's get on there. Y'all criticize Xbox for going to go farm 70% while you praise PlayStation for farming 30%. There's a video I'm going to make. Somebody told me in the comments that PlayStation is trying to be the new Steam. I laughed very loud, and we're going to talk about that in some discrepancy as to why they're not ready for that. They can't be Steam. I mean, and they can be like Steam, but they would have to literally, change their entire nature. And the leopard cannot change its spots. Well, let's keep going.
He's going to come out with a God of War Complete Edition, right? You do know that, right? Probably by this Christmas, mark my word, by this holiday season, they're probably going to have a God of War 2018, God of War Ragnarok, the Complete Edition. The same way they did with The Last of Us. Ghost of Yotei is about to come out. Guess what they're going to do next year? A Ghost of Yotei and Ghost of Tsushima Complete Edition. Oh,
Director's cut.
You don't think they're going to do it? Of course they are. But you know why Sony's going to do this stuff? And you know why you're going to take it and you should not complain? Because PlayStation doesn't listen to the PlayStation gamers.
Wow. He said it. They don't care. They don't care. They don't sit with y'all for interviews until they retire from their studios. They hardly talk to y'all. They hardly address or shout y'all out. And you guys go there and you fan the flames of fandom for them. And they look at you as peasants and just do what they want. Keep it up. You guys built this tank called Xbox with all your criticisms and the fact that they listened. The problem now is Xbox is getting bigger. And they will take that approach because they can stay big, like really big, Windows big. If they get in here and their cadence is 4 to 5 games a year from Xbox Studios and then padding up with 2 to 3 third-party bangers a year, which will be at least a total of about 8 to maybe 10, I don't know where PlayStation is going to find that kind of rhythm from.
They don't care about you. They folded to the PC gamers, but they're not going to listen to you. Why are they not going to listen to you? Because you have defended every single thing that PlayStation has done.
Wow.
They have spit in your face with these remakes and these remastered and these formulas that they keep doing over and over again. And you just take it and buy it and say, yes, it's perfectly fine. Give me some more. Give me some more. They made you pay to play Helldivers, but they let PC gamers not have to pay.
Porter Rock complained about that though. In his defense, and I know he's probably not fond of me. He complained about it in some form. I still remember his voice where he was fuming. He was not happy about that. But again, this company doesn't give a hoot. It's so funny. I'm sure Xbox is in the same boat. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that it's just funny to see that a lot of these things were glossed over by the fanboys. And this is a video calling out the fanboys and all that.
The disrespect is crazy, but you have allowed this disrespect. So I don't understand why you're complaining. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. The live service games that PlayStation is focusing on now makes sense for them. Why do they have to worry about first party games when you don't play first party games? Why do they have to worry about making first party bangers when you're excited about Xbox games coming over there? No, they could go ahead and focus on making another Helldivers that'll make them money. Hey, Helldivers was successful. They could go ahead and make another one that'll make even more money. Why would they put all this money into making a single player game for you to maybe buy it? 75 million install base, and these games only sell 2 to 3 million copies. Like, what?
In all reality, the average is much lower by games like Astrobot. You look at the games like God of War, 15 million, Spider-Man, 11 million, and such. But when you actually run the average, it's kind of weird. Does that make sense? Like, you go ahead and say, all right, let's go ahead and see. But look at the average. If you do an average game sales, number, you're going to see something that you don't really like. Astrobot at 1.5, God of War Ragnarok at 15, Spider-Man at 11, right? And that's exactly where, things get weird. From a 70 million player base console that its fanboys have touted have these quality premium games. But y'all keep saying it, but we're not seeing other PlayStation users buy those games. Instead, they're sitting on Fortnite, Call of Duty, Apex Legends, and everything else. So the rug has been pulled from under y'all's leg. The data really did betray a lot of the fanboydom these past 2 years. Data really smoked them. It literally chased them out in the open, and everybody just saw that these guys were basically they weren't concerned about the business. They just wanted to just fight some superiority list wars. That's what did them in.
Like what? Like what? Barely break 1 million copies. Like what? Like what? And then Call of Duty comes out, and Call of Duty is one of the best-selling games on the PlayStation. There was some crazy article that I saw that apparently, like,
every year, by the way.
What was it? There's like a ridiculous amount of PlayStations that only play Call of Duty. Like they've looked it up.
Yep. 2021, over 1 million gamers on PlayStation played Call of Duty exclusively 100% of the time. The number grows when you look at the 60-70% of PlayStation players that play more of Call of Duty than anything else. So meaning there is this, as of 2021, which that number should have grown by now, there are these people who only play Call of Duty. That's all they'll do. They'll just buy the console, buy the new Call of Duty, play it every day they play games. That's it. Then you got others, around a few more million, who play 70% of their games, of their gameplay time, is Call of Duty. Xbox knew exactly what they were buying. They were buying the heart and soul of PlayStation and owning it. They literally have a box in the Xbox in the Xbox HQ. It's got a heart in there, and that heart's the PlayStation's heart. They own it.
Listen, Sony is doing perfectly fine. They're making a ridiculous amount of revenue, which is the greatest talking points that some of your favorite YouTubers for PlayStation have. So that's not changing. So they're dominating that way, right? When it comes to console sales, they're dominating that way as well, right? They're getting all the games from the industry, right? The only problem is that you as a gamer, you got to pay full price for them, right? But that shouldn't be a problem, because if you're a PlayStation fan, you like to buy your games anyway. So again, what are you complaining about? You champion getting Xbox games. Okay, you're still getting Xbox games. What are you complaining about? That you're not getting Sony games? You weren't that big into Sony games anyways. Stop lying. Stop with the fake outrage.
Wow.
That's what I'm going to call this video. PlayStation fans with the fake outrage. Stop it. We know who you are. We are who you thought you were since the beginning of this generation.
What a call out.
Doc Dog 1985.
Woo. All right. I got to say, that was some serious cooking over here. You see, ladies and gentlemen, just watch the behavior of gamers. That's exactly what you need to do. You see, all the talking to me was just always weird, because I was like, yeah, there seems to be a lot of bias here. What's going to even the playing field is the data, the information, how people are actually putting their money where they think their mouth is, right? And PlayStation, their biggest sales are on legacy titles. Horizon, that's why they like Horizon a lot, because Horizon was basically one of those brand new titles that they launched that did decently well for them. That's why they're not letting go of it, because it's a more recent title. They're going to do everything Horizon. Everything they do is centered around Horizon, blah, 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 blah. However, a lot of those legacy titles, if they cannot bring their name recognition back into play, they're really going to be pursuing this live service stuff. Keep in mind, they just signed another live service studio. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Shout out to Doug Dog 195. Peace out.